2 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 11. Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. Kol Elohim la Yahweh, B'H.I.M Yahushai, B'H.I.M Rakah HaKodash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, and thereby the Spirit taught us this beautiful truth. And just want to say the water to all the H.I.M and Akwaf that's out here sincerely keeping the laws, the statutes, and commandments of Yahweh B'H.I.M Yahushai to the best of their ability. This is Hanan Nawaf, just coming into with another quick lesson, praying that is edifying by the Spirit. And this is an article from the Associated Press. It says, after cuts to food stamps, Trump administration ends government's annual report on hunger in America. So they're getting rid of the information, the data. He don't want you to know that people are going to be going hungry. You know, with these cuts that he's doing. You know, these he really wants you to think that America is going to be great again and that it's great again. And he can't accomplish that if so-called white people are going hungry. And that's pretty much who this is geared more to. See, they put so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans on, you know, at the forefront of, you know, receiving these particular programs. But really, in reality, it's a lot of so-called white people that's far more of them that are receiving SNAP, you know, Section 8. All these programs is pretty much geared towards white people. They're the ones that's actually getting it. So Trump, what he's doing is he's deleting that data. Like, you know, nobody's going hungry under my watch. I'm the great American president, and I love everybody. And under my, you know, jobs are, you know, streaming forward. You know, everybody is doing great. You know, anybody saying anything other than that is a liar. It's fake news, right? So, and also there was another thing from yesterday. I seen this, and I put it into the chat GPT. Well, it may not be in there no more. It was yesterday, so you know they kind of resurface it. So let me see though. I think I took a screenshot of it though. So like, let me see if I can get the screenshot. Yeah, I took a screenshot of it yesterday just in case they try to get rid of it. But it says, I asked Chat GPT a question, and the answer that it gave me, it says, yes, the Pentagon is restricting journalists' access in ways that go beyond what has been standard for some time. The changes are formal, written, and apply even to unclassified information. Whether they are legal or how they will hold up under First Amendment or transparency laws challenges remains to be seen. So, if you're familiar with this story or this particular article, Pete, matter of fact, we should probably just go into it. Let me see if I can get it real quick. But what they're doing is, let me get this too. Let me just grab a quick scripture real fast, because they're deleting the information. They don't want the information going out, and matter of fact, that's what Israel is doing over there too. You know, that Gaza Strip with all that shit they doing over there, man. They doing far more than what you're hearing about, because they've been actually killing journalists. So the word going out, they don't want that going out. They don't want, what's really going on the planet to go out. They don't want people to really see it. So now they're giving you your little football games, they're giving you your little basketball games, you know, tennis, pickleball, whatever the fuck you into, you know, while you were saturated into that bullshit. They're doing all kinds of stuff in the backdrop. Now, this is Amos 8:11. It says, behold, the days come, saith the Lord. Behold, the days come, saith the Lord Yahweh, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor thirst for water, but of hearing the words of Yahweh B'H.I.M Yahushai. And it's really going off into this truth, you know, but it can kind of hit, you know what I'm saying, as far as just the truth that's throughout the wicked, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, there was a point where, you know, these Edomites, they would tell some truth, and it's still somewhat of it. There's some Edomites or some you know, these other races of people that are out here, that's actually reporting on what's going on in the world. But the main thing is this truth, this gospel, the words of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, to let you know why these things are actually happening. So they can say that it's happening. They can say what's going on, but they can't tell you exactly why it's happening. We're telling you why it's happening, because it's the scriptures, man, because it is the words of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. So Amos 8 and 11 again, behold, the days come, saith Yahweh, that power, that I will send a famine in the land, a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor thirst for water, but of hearing the words of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. So if they're cutting into the data as far as who's going hungry, who's doing this, who's doing that, and they're manipulating the the crime stats. They're trying to tell you that these so-called black people are the worst people on the planet, but these so-called white people, the ones shooting up the schools, they shooting up the schools as kids, and they ready to go to civil war. They're not giving you the real statistics on who's doing the most horrendous crimes in America. They're putting you Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, you Israelites on the news and saying that you're the worst ones that's doing these crimes, when really in reality it's them. Because let's just say, they saying we're 13% of the population. Okay, so there has to be at least 70 to 80%. Let's just say 50% of them, since they outnumber us from what they're saying. Wouldn't they be doing the most of the crimes? But they're trying to make it seem as if you small portion of people, you're committing all the crimes. No, that's not the case. But they control the numbers. They control the data, Because again, I put this in. It says, yes, the Pentagon. This is your, and so-called blacks are, Hispanics and Native Americans that are in this military. And your Pentagon are lying to you. They're saying the Pentagon is restricting journalists' access in ways that go beyond what has been standard for some time. So they don't want you to know what they're about to do when it comes to, even with this National Guard thing that's going on in America. But they don't want you to see the numbers really, in reality, of the ones that's going to be struck down, going over and, trying to help Ukraine out, or trying to help Taiwan out, and especially trying to help Israel out. Your ass gonna get gunned down. You gonna get that business if you join this man's military. And they talking about a draft. And guess who they gonna put on the front line? You think they gonna put? You think Trump's son Barron is going to the military? Hell no, that motherfucker ain't going to the military. No, he gonna send you trailer trash, MAGAs into that boy. You're going into that boy because he don't care about you. And he matter of fact, he actually came into office campaigning that you mattered so much, and you doofies, you running with it. You're not gonna, you're gonna be sentenced to World War III, and you're gonna get your limbs blown off, man, for this man. You think he gonna send Barron Trump? You think Barron Trump is going to the military? No, they saving him up to be your next leader if there's gonna be a next leader, which we don't believe that there's gonna be a next leader. We praying that this thing is gonna be all over with soon. Well before this guy's his next 3 years are up. But this guy, he'll come up with an executive order where his son, Barron, will be running the country. With no military skills, no political skills, no type of skills. No skills at all. They'll bring his ass right off in there, and these Trumpsters, they'll go for it. Right? But this is what it's all boiling down to. Again, Amos 8 and 11, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will send a famine in the land. Not a famine of the bread, nor a thirst for water, but of hearing the words of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, and they shall wander from sea to sea, And from north even to the east, they shall run to and fro to seek the words of Yahweh, and they shall not find it. And that's the words of the real men of the Lord, Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, all these highways and byways. Because people can still, they might still have a Bible. You're going to have somebody, some Edomite, sitting up, you know what I'm saying, trying to read the scriptures. But they're not going to have the real true word. The real true word is coming from the, the elders, man, the apostles, the prophets, man. Because you got people sitting around all day long reading the Bible. Bible sales actually went up in America. Starting from, the COVID-19 era. Yeah, Bible sales went up. They're reading the Bible. But do they have the proper understanding? Because these people really think that there's a white guy named Jesus coming back to save everybody. And that's not the case. They really believe that, though. So, be on your watch, man. Be on your watch with this thing, man. See, with these, they don't want you to know that these white people are about to be dying. These people are hungry now. They're hungry. See, just because you live in a neighborhood or a city, and you're still, you're okay. Even though prices don't went up, you still able to still live, though. You're still able to put together a dinner. There's people that's out here. You see these old white ass hands leaning into this basket here. See right here. With that same, I seen a chick like this yesterday. With that look. This is you know what I'm saying? The same way Trump's hands look. And see, she got on that Apple Watch. These are Edomite hands right here. You can tell. Them Edomite hands right there. She got on that Apple Watch trying to, detect her heartbeat. No, hey, the Lord is about to knock her old ass off. But it says, the Trump administration is ending the federal government's annual report on hunger. Why would you do that? In America, stating that it had become overly politicized and rife with inaccuracy. So he's basically telling you that the people that's hungry, they're not hungry. They're not really hungry. The decision comes 2.5 months after President Donald Trump signed legislation sharply reducing food aid to the poor. So a bunch of these people went out and voted for Trump. The Congressional Budget Office has estimated that the tax and spending cuts bill Republicans muscled through Congress in July means 3 million people would not qualify for food stamps. Yeah, it's about to be some hungry ass people out here. Also known as SNAP benefits, right? The decision to scrap the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Household Food Security Report was first reported by the Wall Street Journal. So they're going to starve your ass, and they're not going to report on it. And I'm telling you, it's going to affect a lot more so-called white people than blacks. But you so-called Negroes, you're about to feel that business. Why? Because you're going down to Egypt for help. Matter of fact, let me get that. You believe that the so-called white man is your savior. Isaiah 31:1, it says, woe to them that go down to Egypt for help. And America's modern day Egypt. And stay on horses and trust in chariots, because there are many, and in horsemen, because they are very strong, but they look not unto the Holy One of Israel, neither seek the Lord. You don't seek the Lord. You go straight to the so-called white man for your food, your healing, your just information in general. You got a problem, you got a stress problem, you just trying to work out whatever information it is that you feel like can help you. You go to the so-called white man for it. You don't go to the Lord. You don't pray to the Lord. Well, Lord, I got this situation going on. And if you're doing that, you're actually praying in the name of sweet white baby idolatrous Jesus. You're not calling on Yahweh, which is the true name of the Father, in the name of His Son Yahweh Shai, which is the true name of the Son. You calling on white Jesus, a Renaissance painted picture of a white man coming to save you. And the Lord is a jealous power. So guess what? You praying to that. When you praying, you're actually praying to an idol. You're not praying to Yahweh Hashem Shai. You're looking at you like, the fuck is this? Yeah, I'm gonna send suffering your way. That's the way the Lord really looking at you, right? So it says in a press release Saturday, the USDA said the 2024 report to be released October 22nd would be the last. So they're not going to show you who's hungry no more. Because Trump wanted to make it seem like everything is all good. He don't want no stain on his game. He don't want no, he wants you to think that America's being, totally restructured and is great again. It's people here starving. All this Doge cuts, all this money he's claiming that terrorists is bringing in trillions of dollars. You think that's going to go towards the poor? Nah, man. It's going towards his pockets and those Israelis. I bet you those Israelis is not going through this. They're not going to be hungry. Those Israelis, they're going to be, they're going to be, fed, so to speak, by you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, and you white people, so-called white people here in America. So while you battling it up, they done divided you up. They got you all, on this divisive stance. Blacks against whites and, transgenders against the straight people. Kids against the parents against the kids. While they got you all separated and divided up, guess what they're going to be doing? Pulling off their plans, man. So it says the question used to collect the data are entirely subjective and do not represent an accurate picture of actual food securities, the USDA said. Okay, so who's over the USDA? Well, Trump picked more than likely, right? The data is rife with inaccuracies. How? You're running the data. You're the ones that's in control. You have all these, you got drones flying over all over. You got data everywhere. You're doing the data collecting. So how is it inaccurate? Why would you not know the accurate numbers? Okay, but it says the data is rife with inaccuracies, slanted to create a narrative that is not representative of what is actually happening in the countryside, as we are currently experiencing lower poverty rates, increasing wages, and job growth under the Trump administration. What has he been doing? What Trump been doing since he been in there? He's suing New York Times. He's suing anybody that's got something to do with information on him. They done got rid of freedom of speech. Your Constitution ain't shit no more. So he's basically like, oh no, everybody is doing just fine. No, it's people here starving, right here in the Americas, the greatest planet on the country. Look, proof is in the pudding when he sent the National Guard to Washington D.C. to get all those homeless people out. The encampment of the camps. Those people that was in those tents 2 or 3 weeks back, about a month or so ago. That's proof right there that you lying, nigga. You think those people are just out there? Now, you got drug heads, you got, people that, that's into certain things. But everybody that's out there, I gotta say at least probably about 65 to 70% of those people that are in those camps in the Washington, and matter of fact, they bulldozed all that shit over. But those people, it's crazy, bro. That he's perfect proof. That's perfect proof that this place is falling. That's perfect proof that, America's not doing what he's saying it's doing. And you only get these Edomites really rising up and saying anything when it comes down to them losing something. So now you got these MAGAs. Some of these MAGAs, they losing, man. They're not doing too well. And they're starting to complain about their vote on Trump. It says the Census Bureau reported earlier this month that the U.S. poverty rate dipped from 11% in 2023 to 10.6% last year before Trump took office. Critics were quick to accuse the administration of deliberately making it harder to measure hunger and assess the impact it cuts to food stamps. Oh yeah, they don't want you, with him cutting those food stamps, no, he don't want you to know that motherfucker's about to be dying from starvation. They don't want you to know that stuff, man. They want you to make, they trying to make it seem as if he's the great white hope. And a lot of you white people that voted for this guy, you're going to be feeling that crunch, man. It says critics were quick to accuse the administration of deliberately making it harder to measure hunger and assess the impact it cuts to food stamps. Trump is canceling an annual government survey that measures hunger in America rather than allow it to show hunger increasing under his tenure. Bobby Kogan, senior director of federal budget policy at the left-leaning Center of American Progress, said on social media, this follows the playbook of many democracies that cancel or manipulate reports that would otherwise show less than perfect news. You know, he don't want you to know. He gonna starve y'all asses out. And really, in reality, he's really coming after you so-called black people, Hispanics and Native Americans, you Israelites. But guess what? There's far more white people on these programs than can ever be, you know what I'm saying? It's far more of them than you so-called. He's really starving out his own people. He's starving out his own people. Let me get this one real quick and I'll end out. I ain't want to keep it this long. Anyway, I just wanted to actually go into the article. Deuteronomy 30:7. And the Lord thy God will put all these curses upon thine enemies and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. So, all the hunger, you know, Jake just in the fields working all goddamn day long, only being allowed to, you know, eat pig foots and chitlins and, you know, the shit that Esau didn't know. You know, see, these days, he got all that stuff in the supermarket for you niggas. You niggas love it too. But back then in slavery, you know, that was just Jake just eating whatever they could eat to just fucking try and just get over their fat ass hunger. You know, it wasn't enough for Jake to have it, because Jake had access to fruits and vegetables. They wasn't like Jake didn't have no access to, you know, they may not have had no, you know, I'm sure Jake had access to maybe hitting a fishing hole, you know, or doing, but Jake was cleaning up all that bullshit from the hog that they was, you know, because Esau, he's the ultimate demon, man. He loves the hog. He can eat pork and it's nothing to him. But you, Jake, once you started to clean up that hog, you know, and cutting him up and doing, you know, all the intake, you was giving him the you know, the Esau, the best of, so-called the best, because ain't no best of no damn pig. But you were giving him the best of the pig, and your doofy ass was eating the ears. You was eating the fucking hog, what they call it, hog maws. You was eating the jaws. You know, you was eating the snout. You was eating the feet, the chitlins, the tail. Right? He gave you all that shit on the back end. Well, he was eating the best, or the so-called best. And you niggas still eating that shit to this day. And the Lord gonna, you know, he's gonna destroy you, man, for doing so. Or that old, you know, the law is done away with. We can eat what we, all right, well, you keep. As a matter of fact, that's why Big Mama in the hospital monthly. That's why Big Mama is in a damn wheelchair. Big Mama gotta be pushed around. Big Mama gotta be, you know what I'm saying? Ain't no goddamn well, no way. Big Mama should be 600 pounds in a wheelchair, and you gotta try and pick her big ass up and try and wash her big ass, stinking up the whole house. Right? Cause you see a so-called white woman in her 60s, you know, she's slim, trim. Even though she may eat pork. She's slim, trim. Cause that shit don't bother her like how it bothers us, because we was given that law. But anyway, Another lesson. Yeah, this shit is getting wild out here, man. So, hey, be circumspect. This type of stuff right here, hey, they about to starve y'all asses out. They already starving you out. You can't afford those. And matter of fact, he wants you to put in some voluntary work or work 80 hours a month to keep these couple of benefits that you have. Man, you know how much crime is about to go up? You know how many people are about to be really starving? I tell you what, though, what's about to happen really from this is you motherfuckers gonna lose some weight. You're gonna lose some weight out here. You're gonna lose some weight. This man is sieging you. Matter of fact, this is a siege that's going on. He's pulling off a siege right before your very eyes, man, right in your country. He's sieging you. It don't take them, it's not like the old ancient days of, they build a wall around a city and you can't get in or get out. They're sieging you right with your digital aspect. And they're going to come with that MOTB, that Market of Beauty and the Beast, to get you back in line. You want to eat? You starving? You hungry? You want some water? Oh, we got you. Just come on down and let us put this implant in your ass. This is what it's all boiling down to, man. So I'm going to end out there. I pray that the lesson was edifying. Kwame Yasha Allah and a Bible ball.